Year 12 mid-course exam, higher level paper, section 1b, question 2. The stem of the question tells us the story of the elimination of wolves in, that's not very good, that's not. Higher level biology, paper 1b, mid-course exam, question 2. Stem of the question introduces us to the story of the regulation of wolf numbers in Yellowstone National Park. This was an attempt to examine the ecological interactions with the elk. The dates run from the 1900s through to 2000. Let's take a look at the graphs to see if we can determine what the patterns are. It's always worth looking at the graphs before you read the questions. It's a valuable exercise, often drawing your attention to important features. So number of wolves at the top, number of elks at the bottom, which of course are the prey. And we can see that in the early part of the 20th century, the variable numbers perhaps linked somehow between the two. And then this notable event in 1926 with the elimination of the wolf, the predator. And one would have predicted that the elk numbers would have increased, but as you can see from this pattern here, they are slightly decreasing. This is the consequence of culling, which is humans killing the deer, shooting the deer probably during this period here. And then that ends in 1968, and notice the radical increase in the number of elk at that time. So with no wolves present during this entire period, what we see is a slight decrease due to human culling, and then an increase when that culling is stopped. And then finally at 1995, the wolves are reintroduced, so the predators are back, and then there seems to be a downward trend in elk numbers, we're assuming because of predation. Let's now take a look at the question with our knowledge. And it asks us to outline the changes in the elk populations between 1930 and 2004. So let's just go back to the graph. So we're going from this point here to this point here, and you can see that there are essentially 3 phases. So this goes from about 1930s through to about 1968, and we've already discussed this, and so there would be a slight decline in the elk numbers, and we know that is due to culling. Okay, so let's look for, we're probably looking for 3 patterns here. Okay, the next phase is 1968 through to, just move the graph, so 1995. So 1995, and here we have an increase in elk population, and that's because there's no culling. We're not actually being asked for an explanation here, just to give the broad overview. And then we have 1995 through to the end, which is 2004, and here we see a decline in the elk population once more, and we would suspect that this is due to predation from the reintroduced wolves. So there's 1, 2, 3 marks. This is the last part of this question, in which we're being asked to give 2 biotic factors, so 2 aspects of the living interaction in the population other than wolf predation or culling that would affect the elk population. So what we're looking for, biological reasons why the elk population might go up or down, but they have biotic factors. So perhaps we could begin with considering something like the birth rate, which is sometimes called natality, the recruitment to the population through the birth rate. So whether this goes up or down will influence the elk population. Competition for food, that would have an effect. I'm going to add some more. Let's put a third one in, is disease is still a biological factor. And then the movement of the elk. So if we made a reference to immigration or emigration, these could account for changes in the elk population, but they don't involve the wolf or culling. So that's the end of this question.